Pearl Harbor. And I did not meet my father until the end of 1945 when he came home from service. He and 5 of his brothers wore the uniform in World War II, and 4 of my mother's brothers. So we were heavily invested in that war. And my earliest memories are of living in houses full of frightened women, looking out the window for the telegraph boy. You know, they were, all of these uncles and aunts were young couples. They had maybe 1 or 2 kids. The war broke out, and then the father is gone, and he's gone mostly for the duration of the war. So my mother and I lived between her mother's house in the little town of Marquay, Texas, and his mother's house in the little town of Franklin, Texas, which was 28 miles away. And we would ride the bus between those two. My mother was pretty good at figuring out when we had worn out our welcome in one place and we moved to the other. Had a little, I can remember a little alligator embossed cardboard suitcase we would pack all our belongings in and head down the road. Those were the years of World War II, and I have a memory of scrap metal collections and saving bacon grease, which I have no idea what they did, something to do with ammunition. There were, I remember my mother, they only gave you, the ration book only had 1 coupon for a pair of shoes per person per year. And I'm a growing boy. You go through shoes pretty quick. So my mother gave up her shoe ration so that I could have 2 pair a year. And my father was earning $21 a month in the Army, and he gave us an allotment so that we got $18 of his 21. He lived off of $4 a month. That bought his cigarettes, I guess. It was interesting times.
Do you remember specifically when your dad came back from the war?
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. He came back and he came up on the porch, and he had the little overseas cap he was wearing, and I wanted that cap, and I was begging for it. And he took that cap off his head and he threw it out in the yard, and I ran to get it. And when I got back, Mom and Dad were in the house and the door was locked. So they got busy making my little brother. But it was interesting times. My dad worked at a couple of jobs, took a course at A&M, and took a job with Humble Oil Company in South Texas in a little town called Refugio. And my mom and I loaded what furniture we had by then and on the back of a pickup truck and drove down in the winter to join my dad. He had found a place he could rent. It was in the oil boom town, and places to live were very hard to come by. So he was down there living in a rooming house for a good while until he could find an apartment to rent. And we joined him, and I went through 11 years of public school in that little town and graduated from a high school there in class of 1959.
Before we move ahead, I want to ask you a question about your father and your uncles. Did your father and or your uncles talk about their experiences in World War II?
Not much. Now, my dad did not go overseas. He was scheduled to go with a division, to the Army division, to the Pacific Theater. And they were almost literally lining up to get on the boat when they came through asking if anyone could type. And he could type, and they pulled him out of the line, and he spent the war at Fort Ord, California, and he finished up as a tech sergeant. The other uncles, they were all over the place. One was Army Air Force, and he flew in the Pacific, New Guinea, and all those places. My mother had one brother who was in the 101st Airborne and was wounded pretty badly in Europe in the Normandy campaign. And the rest of them, I think, were just, one was in the Navy. The youngest brother of my dad managed to get in the war like in '44 and was on a Navy ship that was hit by kamikaze pilots off of Okinawa. He survived that. Most of them made it home one shape or another, but they got home from it okay. And boy, were they in a hurry to get on with life and living.
But they didn't talk about it much.
Didn't talk